Hey, what's going on, guys? I just wanted to make a quick video about entries and understanding how to, use these higher time frame structure and break and retest to, formulate good entries and, ultimately hit your profit targets, right? So something I've been talking a little bit about in the Discord is, I have to start focusing more on profit target goals, being up 1K on the day and then still trading doesn't really make a lot of a sense, especially because if you scale out to many accounts, like that's a lot of money. So not just prioritizing max daily losses, but also max profit goals, right? So this is really like, how do we hit these profit goals in our day-to-day for trading? So that's kind of what I'm going to go over today. All right. I'm also going to create a checklist that you guys should follow if you're utilizing the system to just help you overall on, hitting these profit goals. So what I'll do is I'll just make a quick checklist. So step one is going to be set max loss, and then of course set daily loss. Okay. Now this is very important because this is going to be, your goal, right? And I like to look at it kind of as, if you win 500 on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then you lose 500 on Thursday and Friday, you're up 1R on the week, which is $500. If you can do that across 20 accounts, well, you're going to be making a lot of money. So being able to focus on, hey, let me find a way to hit my my profit goals, set some daily loss. Kind of utilizing these trades to hit these two standards is very important. Okay, so for this video, or actually I'm using 500. So if my account's down 500, I'm done trading. If my account's up 500, then I'm also done trading because I have hit my daily goal for the day because I'm focused more on scaling horizontally. Okay, so once you have that, the second step that you're going to want to do is wait for an hour, a daily, hourly, daily 4 hour or 1 hour break and retest. Okay. You want to make sure that the market is moving. You don't want some sort of stagnant, choppy market. You want there to be some sort of trend, and then you're going to wait for a daily 4 hour or 1 hour break and retest. In the daily 4 hour, 1 hour, you should be analyzing every single day, the monthly and the weekly sometimes. And I'll kind of show you why the monthly and the weekly is important, right? Like if we take a look at crude oil, clearly we're dumping down here. But if you look here on the monthly on crude oil, you can see here that, we had an uptrend forming here, but then we had a market structure shift here, which just means that for the first time, we took out a higher low, which is a bearish attribute and characteristic. And then we came back to retest that area that we broke. We failed to break above, and then we had another breakout to the downside. We then had another break. We didn't retest this level. That's okay. We still had some sort of retests in this area too. And then you have another breakout area here, right, where price continued. Then it retested, and then you can see here that we're struggling to get above these highs here, right? And now we're starting to break to the downside again. If we run these lows and continue lower, then there's a good chance that, hey, crude oil, could come all the way potentially down here if price doesn't start to show some sort of bullish characteristics and break back above this level. And having this in the back of your mind, and then being like, all right, I'm going to scale down to the weekly time frame. This is kind of just in a choppy trading range, but when you're looking at the 4 hour, 1 hour, and you're identifying your levels, having that this is a potential target in the back of your mind is very strong, especially when it comes to keeping the bias. Okay, but for the most part, stay on the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour. Okay, so the trade that I took today, I actually had two trade ideas. One was on NASDAQ, one was on gold. So we'll do the one on NASDAQ for the easiest. Okay, you can see overall we are in a bull trend. Price did correct here, and then it continued, and now we're getting some sort of potential correction or even potentially a reversal here. But if you go into the 4 hour for more information, you can see here that this whole time on NASDAQ, all we're doing here is we're breaking, retesting, right? We didn't even get a retest here. That's a-okay. We break here, we retest. We break here, we retest. We break here, right? We retest, and then we just miss the high here, right? And then what happens? All of a sudden, we start breaking and retesting, continuing on the bottom. And there's your bearish market structure shift. However, we don't just start shorting because you had a market structure shift. We want to see that continuation play out. And then today we had another break, retest, and then we had our continuation. Right? So this is how I'm getting my overall understanding of where price is likely to go. Right? Because if price fails to, break above this level here and starts to push down, well, the logical target would be this low here. So then what I'm doing is on the lower time frame, and we'll use today's chart as an example, right? For this right here, is on the lower time frame, 15, 5 minute, 1 minute, etc. I just want to see, bearish characteristics, and we can see here that we do put in a higher low, then we put a lower high in right here, and then we have a lower low. And, there's not much on the 15, but you can see here on the 5 minute, we begin to put in lower highs here. We get this little micro double top here, and then price begins to break out to the low here. So that is a sign that we are going to take out that low because price cannot hold above this level and it's breaking below that 4-hour retest level, which means now we have a setup. And the logical thing that I've been doing is just as soon as we get that breakout to the low, or any sort of, again, you can use, failed second entry longs here to go short. You can find second entry shorts, doesn't matter. But what I do is I go short as soon as I see confirmation that we are turning bearish. I then target that low. I use my stop loss to be 1R of, what my profit goals are. And then I just set it with micros to position size. So if we come down to this low, that makes me 500. If price fails to go lower and comes all the way back up, then I lose $500. Can you, come here and put it right above these highs and potentially try to squeeze into 2 to 3R? Of course you can. But for me, I'm just looking for high probability, find a high probability trade, make my money, get off. If you go to a 1 minute chart with these levels too, you'll probably find even, stronger logical things, right? Like here you can see, you got 2 legs to the upside and then price begins to fail. I'm sure there's some sort of second entry short here. Price breaks below the level here. So then you go short. This is for my, my Al Brooks traders here. And then of course you then just go with a 1R again. And you either make your max profit on the day or you hit your daily loss, right? And I position size this to where it's 500 for the max profit, 500 for the max loss. And that's all I'm doing every single day is just trying to find these high probability break and retest setups on the daily, the 4 hour, and the 1 hour. And then using the 1 minute time frame, 5 minute time frame, or the 15 minute time frame to find these bearish pattern tendencies, right? Second entry shorts, 2 legs back, failed second entries, 50% pullbacks, etc., to then say, hey, okay, price is now bearish. Price has flipped bearish. Let me now go and target that 4 hour. So rather than sitting on the 4 hour and being like, okay, let me go short below this bar, which again, you can completely do that too. I'm just looking at the lower time frame for confirmation of bearish characteristics to then target this low, right? That's all I've been doing. Gold was the exact same setup. The setup I took today on gold was you can see here that we had, well, first, let's bring it all the way back. Because if we look at the daily, you can see here that we did break above these levels, right? These highs, and then we came back and we retested this level and we rejected away from it. Then if we go to the 4 hour, what I saw is we tested this, we failed to come to the top, but then we started to make a double bottom and we pushed off. So on the 1 hour, I was looking for a potential break and retest level. And you can see here, we pushed up, we pulled back, right? Then we pushed up again, leaving us a break retest setup. So now I was looking for my entry around this level. So then what I did is I just looked on the 5 minute time frame And you can see here that we had channel down, right? Then you're pushed to the low. If you're an ICT trader, you might call this a liquidity sweep. Then we had 2 legs up that fail. Second entry short failure, which is classic continuation pattern. If you're looking for that reversal in the lower time frames to higher time frames, then I went long above this bar here, right? Taking out this swing point that the bears would expect to push lower. Since that failed, then I'm now targeting the highs. I'm now targeting 1R, which is all the way here. Profit target was 500, max loss 500. It's a very logical A+ setup, and then that's how I took my $500 profits on the day. And it's very, 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 very simple. And you can see here, we actually just had the exact same setup play out again, right? I didn't take this one because I already hit my max profit on the day, but you can see we had a break. We had a retest on the hourly, and then come down to your lower time frame, your 5-minute. You're just trying to see characteristics of bullishness, right? You can see we get this leg down, then we break above, and you can see here's our retest level. Yeah, right. So we break above this here, which is our market structure shift. We break above that level here, that lower high, break above, pull back, making a higher low, and then once price breaks back above this level, then that would be your setup. Right? Just like this. Price comes all the way back down. You're going to lose 500. If it hits target, you're going to make 500. And that's just the setup. Right? But it has to have these higher time frame levels so that you understand where price is going. If you just stay on these lower time frames, it's very easy to get confused and chopped up. But if you look on the 4 hour and the 1 hour, it's much clearer. Like this is very clear that we're in an overall uptrend. So I'm just looking for those higher time frame break and retest levels on the daily, the 4 hour and the 1 hour. Now, let me show you guys one more example, maybe. Trying to think what trade I was looking at. There's a specific one I wanted to show, yeah, on YM today, right? So I just also want to bring this to your awareness as well, is that some assets are very, very laggy, and YM is a good example of that. So if you saw in the Discord today, I posted a potential bullish retest here on YM, but then I said, but it's unclear. I need more confirmation. Why? Because if you look here at ES and NASDAQ, it's dropping. YM loves to be the last one to the party, which means that if ES and NASDAQ are dropping, you will often see some sort of bullish momentum on YM that will later on dump and copy the same attributes as ES and NASDAQ, which is why the higher probability play was to follow the overall market trend of ES and NASDAQ and then wait for that breakout pullback to the upside and then look for your 5-minute, 15-minute confirmation, which again, you don't get much confirmation here. You get this beautiful bear bar, bulls fail, close on a low, then you get this beautiful bear bar down here. But because we broke back below that higher time frame level, that's already a sign of bullishness, right? Because if we're bullish, we should not be breaking back below this level. We should be breaking and taking out this lower high to then push higher and then now have the opposite happen, right? Where we then retest that level. And that's the signs of bullishness. But that's not what we did, which means that this market is weak. And because ES and NASDAQ already did this exact pattern and YM was late to the party, this is a decent probability short. So what am I doing? Shorting here, targeting the low on YM. Delete this one, going for 1-to-1 risk to reward, where I make $500 if I win, or I lose 500 if I'm wrong. And of course, you guys can still put it right above the retest level, or even at the swing point for 1.6. Even this lower high here. I'm sure on the 1 minute time frame, you'll see. Like if I go to a 1 minute here, you'll see a lower high here. Yeah, right there. Right. Like you can see here on the 1 minute, you got a first, you get all these second entry long failures, 2 legs down that fails right here and then goes lower. So that would be your entry below that swing. And then this would be, your 3R trade. But again, if you want to get fancy and do that, that's fine too. But, for me, I'm looking more to scale horizontally. So I'm just looking to take my $500 and get out of the market. So I hope that clears up the confusion about, entries and how to use these higher time frame break and retests to create logical targets to then find ways to get in to then go to that target, right? So let's go back to the checklist for a minute so I can finish this for you guys. So step 3, so obviously your step 1, you want to set your max daily loss and set your daily profit goals, because at the end of the day, your success as a trader dictates how often are you hitting your daily profit versus how often are you hitting your daily loss, because trading is active income. We're just looking to make a salary. And if you want to come to the market and make, $200 a day with a $20,000 account, that should be your goal, and are you going to make it every day? Of course not. But, if you try to make $200 per day, 3 days out of 5 for a few months, then you scale up. Okay, now I'm going to target $300 a day. Try to make that 3 out of 5 days, 400, 500. And that's how you slowly scale up your cash account. And then you do that as well with prop firms by scaling horizontally and getting more funded accounts. Okay. Then step 2, you wait for a daily 4-hour or 1-hour break and retest, which is exactly what we saw here on YM. Right, here's your break, your retest. Right now we're pulling below. Perfect. So now we got that level. So step 3 is look for lower confirmation that the trend is changing. Okay. So once you have the trend is changing, and again, if we go to the 1 minute chart, we can begin to see how the structures we're starting to beginning to get break and retests. I'm going to remove this. You can see how we're beginning to get breaks, retests, continuations. We get another break here. We retest, and we continue. 5 minute. This level was so strong that the 5 minute literally just broke out. But sometimes you'll see the same thing too, like the 5 minute has these market structure shifts to the downside. Okay, so just looking for lower confirmation that the trend is changing and aligning with the higher time frames. Time frames. Then step 4 is to target a logical low / high with a logical stop. Right? If you are new, use a 1-to-1R. Right? So all this means here is that step 4 is if price breaks below here, right, where are we likely to go? It's going to be that 4-hour low, right, which we hit. Or if you wanted to be like, let's say you wanted to be more conservative and, let's say you wanted to target not that low, but this low here, because, maybe price failed to break this low. So we want to just target this low or this low to be more conservative. Then of course you would have your short here, targeting this low here. Your stop's going to be a little bit incorrect here. I mean, it's still more than fine, but that would be your 1-to-1R here. Target a logical low, high with a logical stop. And then step 5 is position size for profit target to hit your daily profit goal. And then also make sure that your stop loss is also your max daily loss. And that's the 5 steps, right? Have a max daily loss in mind, set a daily profit goal, right? Stick to that, because at the end of the day, like, you can make $1 million per account in theory, right? But like the reality of it is if you're going to scale to, 10, 20, 30 funded accounts, making $500 a day, $200 a day, that's a lot of money really quickly. And that's the game that you want to play when it comes to prop firms, because, these accounts are highly leveraged. So you want to make sure that you're going horizontally and scaling out through fundeds. Step 2 is wait for that daily 4-hour, 1-hour break and retest. Step 3, you want to look for a lower confirmation that the trend is changing and aligning with the higher time frames. And just to put in here too, because I want to make sure you guys understand this, is I don't just want to see price change, right? I want to see price change and break below this level. So let me actually put this in. You look for low confirmation that the trend is changing and aligning with the higher time frames. Must see a break back below / above the retest level. Right. if you want to be fancy, was there theoretically, like if you draw this on the 1 minute time frame, actually, like theoretically, could you say something like, oh, I'm going to short, these two legs back here, expecting a new low with my stop above that second entry short, and then target this for like, um, you know, what is this? Crazy R. Yeah, this is insanity. That's like 20 R. Like, does that trade exist in theory? 100% it does. But the higher probability is just to wait for that level to break out below the retest level, look for that trend and that structure shift, and then now just take a normal 1-to-1 to the low and just hit your profit goal. Doing all this stuff sounds great in theory, but you're going to get stopped out a lot and go on long losing streaks. So I would recommend that. Okay, so must see a break back below or above the retest level, and then you can see here we get that break below. Target a logical lower high with a logical stop. If you are new, just use a 1-to-1, and that logical stop would either be these lows here if you want to be more conservative, or if you wanted the strong move, it would be that 4-hour low. And then position size for profit target to hit your daily profit goal. Okay, because now that we have this range here and we know that price is likely to take out this level here, all we're just doing now is just using this range here to hit our daily profit goal, make as much money as we can, and then get the hell out of the market. Okay, and that's what my recommended style for prop firms. $500 a day is $2,500 a week across 30 accounts. You're making more money than you could ever dream of. Don't be crazy. Don't push your accounts too hard. They are fragile. And that's what I'd recommend. So hopefully that clears up entries and how to structure your entries, as well as how to pull daily profit goals out of these entries in the higher time frame structure. If you guys have any more questions, definitely join the Discord. A lot of these trades are being called out inside of the Discord before they even happen. If not by me, there's other members in the Discord that are doing a really, really good job at the strategy who are calling these big moves out as well. Like this was a 400-point drop, right? One NASDAQ contract, $8,000. So really amazing call outs by the group. So definitely make sure you join the Discord. If you have any other questions, I'll see you in the Discord.